Hello, my name is Vanthoor. Normally I'm driving the 912 car in IMSA, the RSR. Lately I've been spending more time on my simulator, so I'm not hugely experienced. I only started it more and more during this period. I've did some before, but obviously the real life trophies, they don't really count as soon as I'm in there, so it's an exciting challenge. So the first thing I'm gonna try and explain you is the field of view settings in the simulator. I've not experimented a lot with it yet. To be honest, somebody who helped me out with it, but I'm gonna show you how to change it. I'm using iRacing, but there's some things to measure first to be sure to have everything correct and rightly measured. And then afterwards, it's actually as you prefer. Up here in my black box, I can change the height and the angle, but like this, because I'm sitting here with my steering rail. This is kind of the view I have on the dashboard in real life. Steering wheel, the locking lights and traction control lights over there, and yeah, left to right is, you can change it. It's not the most important, obviously. You look straight most of the time, so I try to have this aligned as realistically as possible. In terms of seating position, there are also some basic rules which also apply in real life. I'm going to show you quickly. How far you are sitting from the steering wheel is mostly preference, but there's a general rule of thumb that your wrist should be on the top of the steering wheel. That's in general also for your road car, race car, whatever, so that you always have enough space in your arms to turn the wheel how far you want. Pedal wise, same. Sorry, not wearing any shoes. You have to have enough power to and leg length to squeeze the pedal. Again, that's preference, but you should definitely feel when you're doing a longer run that you don't get any pain in your legs or sleepy toes, which sometimes happens. I'm obviously very lucky that Precision Sim Engineering, a company in UK, made an almost exact copy of our RSR 19 steering wheel, which is perfect for me because I actually put the buttons, not everything, but most of the buttons on the same position I have in the real steering wheel. So whenever I'm on the simulator and I'm not in the car now for a long time, I still have the habit to do the same things, which is very important for me. For somebody who's just doing sim racing for fun, you don't need to make it too complicated. It's good to have stickers to remind you what is what, and to have some basic things which help you personally. Like I have, for something very simple, I have a button to switch off the TC whenever I spin, so I can turn around quickly. I have some different buttons in the back to turn off the delta time or not. It's all preference and whatever you feel confident with, and the tools you need to make quick actions without thinking too much about what you're doing. Monitors, I have a 3-screen or 3.5 screen setup. I have 32-inch curved monitors. They are 144 Hz, so they're pretty quick. There's a small screen which I added on the bottom for softwares like Discord or things I need to look at while I'm driving, or strategy softwares and so on, which often is underestimated with screens. Is it's important to look at the speed of the screen, how much it can produce, how quickly it can react. Because that's what it's all about in racing and driving a simulator. If you would add a normal television, it would be too slow and wouldn't be giving you the full potential you could use. So it's not necessarily very expensive, but it's a small detail which can make a decent difference. And also the mistake I made is to have the correct cables to offer that speed from the computer to the screens. all small details, but can make a difference when you put everything together. I'm gonna explain you a little bit about motion. It's a difficult subject. It's very personal. Some like it, some don't. It's expensive to add, so it's worth trying it before, but I'll give you a tour. So as you can see, I have a 4-post motion setup from D-Box. It works really well, and it's a really nice feeling, and it makes it more fun and immersive. You can feel bumps, you can feel the curves, and so on. So the whole rig is moving together with the steering input, and I personally like it when it's on a really low setting. I don't like it when it's too high and moving too much, because it simply doesn't really do what it's natural. It's giving, let's say, a show to feel, oh, the car will be doing that, but in real life those movements are very small as well. So I always recommend to have low settings, a little bit of input, not too much, because sometimes it can also disturb you and give you false input, which you don't need, and is probably going to disturb you. The one thing to consider, adding a motion platform is fairly expensive, and I always wonder, is it worth to add that? You can maybe spend that money on other things which are more interesting, as a direct drive or a hydraulic brake set or a proper computer, before you do that. Obviously it's fun, and especially if you go on bumpy tracks or rallycross and so on, it's really cool, but I don't think it's really going to make you any quicker. It's not a tool which you need to go quicker, in my opinion. So my computer, I just got a new one, as to show you how important it is. The last one was always blocking, freezing in the middle of online races, and cost me a lot of points on my license, so which wasn't good. So I got a new one. I'm not a huge computer expert, so I have to look into my system as well, and tell you what I got. I'm using an Intel Core i7 processor, 9700K at 3.6 gigahertz, whatever that means, to be honest. Memory, I have 32 gigabyte of work memory, and which is important for sim racing as well. For the screens, I've got the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Titanium. So I think it's pretty good spec'd out computer. It should get me going for the next couple of years. But there's nothing more disturbing than when you're doing a race and your screen is lagging, or your computer is not loading quick enough. So yes, it's expensive. You can obviously do it much less as well, but it's an important part of sim racing, because yeah, it's running the whole thing. It's like the fuel for our race cars. In terms of racing software, I'm basically only using iRacing. It's everybody has his preferences of other stuff. That's one thing which I've been using for years. And every game is different. Every game needs different input and strategies to be good at the game. So I prefer to stick to one. And I know that one well. I have my software set up for that, my steering wheel, I have the data logger, my shift lights, everything. It's all been set up for that game, and it works. And if you go swap behind games, you'll have to do that basically all over again. So that's why I really stick to iRacing, basically as well, because they really have good tracks. They laser scan them, so they're real. The cars are close to reality, so I enjoy using that. The online racing as well makes it fun, building up your license. So yeah, that's the one I prefer to use. Obviously in iRacing there's a good option to do online racing against a lot of other guys, very quick guys. It's not easy in the beginning. You'll have to understand the game, It's important in the beginning to just be safe and not to make many off tracks or contact, and therefore build up your license. Even for me, sometimes as a experience from real life, I want to take risks, but basically you need to take a little bit less risk than in real life, because as soon as you get penalty points, your license doesn't go up and prevents you from doing the nicer, bigger races. I started in the Mazda Cup, I think, which a lot of us does, which is really fun. I enjoyed that a lot, and I think it's a good starting platform. But I enjoy doing everything. I do some NASCAR races sometimes, some rallycross or off-road trucks, and so on. I own the whole platform of tracks and cars, so a lot of different choice. But most important part is to enjoy it. Some people are really good at it, but don't forget they spend literally the whole day on their sim, and not everybody of us has that opportunity or desire to do so. So you think you need to race in your class and be happy and have fun. I think that's the most important part of this. Some other small features on my sim. I'm using obviously simulator from Vanthoor. It's a company which I've been working with, again, like more than 5 years already. I'm using, it's called Stream Deck, which initially was for streaming. I was doing that a little bit, but it also gives you shortcuts to mute your Discord or to turn off your camera or to go from big screen to small screen. Like I said, I'm using a Precision Sim Engineering steering wheel, which is an exact copy of our RSR steering wheel, and the SimCube direct drive motor. I think direct drive really gives you a lot of more reality feel, and which is very important, and which is a pretty neat feature. I have these pedals from SimTech. They are actually real pedals, hydraulic. You can customize them with different rubbers to match your real life feeling. I think which is really important. Most important for me, because I'm always warm, I put on a nice fan so I can stay cool. So that was a small tour of my simulator and the experience and knowledge I've got. It's certainly not everything, but I hope it helps you. Just last thing, I think it's important to know, obviously I have, let's say, face it, an expensive simulator with all the good stuff. I don't know what else I could improve. Also because I have good partnerships with different companies, but it doesn't mean that you need this to be super quick or successful. You can do with a lot less the same thing. I know guys which their simulator are a lot less expensive and a lot more basic, and they still say beat me in pace. So it doesn't mean if you buy the most expensive and the best, that's the only way you can be quick. So you can start off with some basics. I think it's important to focus on a good computer. A direct drive wheel is very expensive, but that really gives you a completely different feeling, which I think is important. And then go on through the list, which is important for you and not. But yeah, so I hope I helped you out a little bit, and enjoy.